I see some of these masterpieces because to me they are pure art. And I know that you engage children to design and choose colors, as far as I know, and else, so that they feel like superheroes. Because I think the inspiration came from Iron Man.
We had a really fun experience with Robert Downey Jr. providing one of our very first bionic arms to the then young Alex Pring. And so we learned from the children that the purpose of a prosthetic is not just to pick things up, but it also includes the expression and the artistry and being able to help control the story around their person as they grow. And so we developed kind of this interchangeable system of cosmetics where the children and their families can co-design some of those artistic pieces, and then we get the privilege of bringing that to life and then watching how it encourages and gives them all the confidence.
Welcome to Sustainable Futures with Daniela Bas, where innovation meets impact. Join me every first and the third Saturday at 10 a.m. Central European Time for engaging conversations with visionaries reshaping industries like fashion, tech, tourism, sports, and more through social fairness and sustainability. As a global leader and change maker, I share fresh insights and actionable ideas to inspire meaningful change and drive results. Tune in, subscribe, and help shape a brighter, sustainable future.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, in whichever part of the world you are. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Albert Manero. Right now he's in Florida, and you are going to find out who this very special, unique young man is. But before asking you some questions and introducing you to the audience, Albert, by the way, good morning.
Good morning as well.
I would like to ask you my very jolly question. That is, what is the most heartwarming or unexpected feedback you have received from a child or a parent using a limbless bionic arm?
I think for watching the children use the bionic arm, it's been how they've interacted with their families, whether it's being able to hug their parents with both arms or just engaging with their siblings, sometimes in a roughhousing type way. It's been really fun to watch how that dynamic can change, and seeing how the parents get excited for it as well has really been one of the inspiring things.
So why are we talking about bionic arms or bionic legs? Well, I would like you to meet Dr. Albert Manero, the visionary executive director of Limbitless Solutions, where art meets cutting-edge bionics to transform accessibility and inclusion for children and adults. Albert is a former aerospace engineer with a PhD in mechanical engineering from the University of Central Florida. Am I correct? And Dr. Manero leads a trailblazing team crafting personalized multi-gesture bionic limbs that combine function and expression. He also collaborates with hospitals nationwide, driving sustainable, futuristic, innovative trials with passion in redefine what's possible in STEAM and equity for all. STEAM stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths. So, Albert, what inspired the creation of what you have called Limbitless Solutions? You can pronounce it better. And how did the idea evolve from concept to a global initiative for accessibility?
While I was here studying at the University of Central Florida, I was in an aerospace engineering research lab for my graduate work, and I heard an interview on the radio of people talking about these 3D printed mechanical hands and sending the files back and forth across the world to try to support local people in their area. And I was really moved by the story, and I reached out to them just with a cold email saying, how can I help? And little by little, that turned into what we now have today here at Limbitless Solutions at the University of Central Florida, which is now a full cutting-edge research facility building the next generation of bionic arms using 3D printing, beautiful paint and expression designed into every arm, and then trying to translate that with our hospital partners so that real people can take the bionic arms home and then give us the feedback as we someday look to be able to support children all over the world with these bionic arms.
I see some of these masterpieces because to me they are pure art. And I know that you engage children to design and choose colors, as far as I know, and else, so that they feel like superheroes. Because I think the inspiration came from Iron Man.
We had a really fun experience with Robert
Yeah.
Downey Jr. providing one of our very first bionic arms to the then young Alex Pring. And so we learned from the children that the purpose of a prosthetic is not just to pick things up, but it also includes the expression and the artistry and being able to help control the story around their person as they grow. And so we developed kind of this interchangeable system of cosmetics where the children and their families can co-design some of those artistic pieces, and then we get the privilege of bringing that to life, and then watching how it encourages and gives them all the confidence.
So imagine Limbitless Solutions Bionic Arms as the latest must-have tech gadget. How would you pitch them at a global innovation? Actually, if you went to a global innovation expo.
I think from the global perspective, there is an increasing need for being able to get children affordable prosthetics. And what we've been able to do here is bringing down the cost point to where we can donate them all using the power of philanthropy and corporate sponsorship. And so our hope is to be able to see that at the global level, being able to work with the local governments for any of the healthcare regulations, but then being able to see the people who are either in need in certain parts of the world or are requesting a bionic arm, to just be able to make that accessible, so that they can learn and see what they like, what they don't like, and then hopefully continue to build that into the feedback loop for our research team to keep trying to make them better and more comfortable and really fit the child's growing personality and all of those expressions.
And I think it's expensive to have the first one, but also the second and third and so on, because children grow and they become adults. So after a certain time, they might need to have a new arm. Am I right? And that's very costly.
The children grow up seemingly overnight. And our hope is to be able to provide updated designs that kind of grow with them, whether that's the interchangeable socket, which they may grow out of more quickly, or the cosmetic components where their personality will change as they continue to grow. And they may want some days to match their favorite princess. They may want to match their favorite football team. And sometimes they may want to fight crime at night. And we can make all of those different designs for them too.
And to me, it makes perfect sense because sometimes we like to wear certain bracelets when we're 5, but then we change the style of the bracelet when we're 10. And so on and so forth. And the same applies to these fantastic arms that children design, and with your help, they become functional and also very pretty to look at. I saw them. Amazing. Now, you spoke about helping also those children who might not have the financial resources to buy these arms. And I think that you can also do something with the 3D to make them less expensive. I'm not sure if I understood it correctly.
We really started at the beginning being able to explore how 3D printing could help bring down those costs for really tailored and personalized prosthetics. And at that time, the whole device was pretty much 3D printed minus the electronics and the fasteners. And now we've been able to use 3D printing in different ways for even some of the positive molds to be able to craft around with vacuum forming, or to be able to do the prototyping side to make things accelerated in the design frame. And then there are still some parts, including the socket, which are going to be very personal to each individual. And being able to have that be 3D printed has really enabled us the opportunity to be able to grow it with the child. and that partnership with a 3D printer company, Stratasys, has provided a lot of the support for that along the way.
So, Albert, how do you counter critics who argue that initiatives like yours are niche solutions rather than addressing broader accessibility challenges, for instance?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of accessibility challenges globally. One of them is for pediatric prosthetics being difficult to get access to, difficult to get the designs, and it may be a smaller need set than for some of the other accessibility things. But our goal is to be able to tackle one small problem at a time, and being able to do that. And I think that globally, as each of these startups or research facilities come online to be able to tackle those, we'll see the whole world have a little bit more emphasis on that accessibility for prosthetics, robotics, and even mobility challenges. And that is something that the whole world faces as we age. Mobility and dexterity limitations come with age, if not with something else. And so we kind of see it as we're investing in one specific piece of a mission, but the technology gains that come from that can be certainly scaled to our growing and aging world as well.
You know, even though I'm in Italy right now and you are in Florida in the United States, I can feel the positive vibes, your passion and your smile when you talk about these topics. It's wonderful. We spoke about the present and the future, a tiny bit about the past. So I would like to go back to the past, starting with once upon a time, Albert began a journey with aerospace engineering and advanced materials research. So tell me, what was the spark that propelled you into accessibility innovation, not into the space?
So growing up here in Florida, I grew up watching the NASA space shuttles as a child, and I got to go to Cape Canaveral and really experience that. And it's always been my passion. And then I came to the University of Central Florida because it has an excellent aerospace program. And I really wanted to be a part of that and did my degrees here. In that research, I was so fortunate to work with a professor, Dr. Sita Raghavan, in an aerospace materials and non-destructive evaluation laboratory that took me between here, the government labs in Germany for the German Aerospace Center, and then additional work at the U.S. government labs in Chicago. And I was working really hard to be able to advance that side of the research. And then there was this radio interview when I was stuck in traffic, and I found it really inspiring of the way the technology was able to even just be emailed between people and being able to connect people around the world. And I managed to focus and finish the PhD while also like developing this passion. And then on the other side of my graduation, I tried to apply everything I had learned in the aerospace side to being able to run this project and to build the teams and to work with the technology. And so I don't think of it as too dissimilar. It's just a different application. But the real challenges are, making sure the machines run well, working on the design aspect, listening to the patients and their families. And those are going to be there regardless of the output. And so I think that's been the real challenge, is learning to adapt on that each day.
You just mentioned the teams. So how big is your team?
We're fortunate to have 5 of us that are here on the full-time staff. We also work with several affiliated faculty from the University of Central Florida. And then this semester we had 60 academic students working in the research lab, and they can be from biomedical research, engineering, game design, digital arts, fine arts, human communication and storytelling. And so the laboratory, it feels very different than what you might expect a traditional university laboratory to look like. And that is because we're really working on it from every angle that we can, very similar to how the students will experience when they go off into the industry as well. And I think that's been a point of real joy for our team, is seeing all of those interdisciplinary mindsets come together to tackle the project from different ways, because we look at the problems differently, we consider different factors, and that I think has helped propel us to that success here at UCF.
So I could say that you are the stylist of bionic arms, and you have your team of tailors and artists and designers. Isn't that amazing? So creative. So how do you balance innovation in technology with the human impact of inclusivity and creativity
It really,
today?
it's really an interesting challenge when you have artists and engineers and the pre-medical side all working together, because we develop our own specific industry specific languages, even though it's one unified language. There, we're having to come to those things with different inputs, and I think that takes a little bit of time to develop almost like a shared language for the bionic arm and what we're trying to succeed with that. And that takes our students a little bit of time. It took our staff a little bit of a time too. Um, but we're all working towards that common mission. And I think that that helps bridge all of those gaps, is that you know what you're doing is going towards a specific, whether it's a family or it's the bigger picture of the community that we're trying to work with for limb differences. And I think it has made it so much fun, because it's not just art on one side and engineering on the other. It really is so intertwined that you have to bring all of those conversations together if you're going to really be successful, and provide that great experience for the patient.
Amazing. So let's talk about the future then. Imagine to be 20 years old in 2071, so almost 50 years from now. Yeah. What principles from today would you carry forward? And what new challenges would you aim to solve?
I think for us, it starts with listening to the person who's going to be using the bionic arm and their families. And I think that will stay consistent as time continues to march forward. Taking time to listen is the biggest, most important foundational element. And then in terms of how we do the work, it's being able to focus on the project from different angles, different perspectives, whether that's the artistry side or the mechanical engineering or the software aspect, and the storytelling aspect. And so I think making sure that we maintain all of those perspectives allows us to be able to move it faster, as opposed to doing one at a time and then having to redo things when they inevitably collide.
I see. So, Albert, out of what you have shared right now with all of us, have you discovered something about yourself you were not aware of thanks to your professional activity?
I think every single day has been a learning curve, being able to adapt and to grow. And so maybe that was the thing I really learned, is that it's not something that once you complete your academic studies or you get more comfortable in your, if it's an industry position, you don't stop growing or developing, that it must be an everyday pursuit of excellence and growth. And so for me, I've actually found that has been very enjoyable and a lot of fun to explore and to try the new things and to have those conversations with people who have a very different academic discipline or professional discipline than I do. And I've really enjoyed that experience.
So, to wrap up this inspiring conversation, I would love I would love for you to leave our audience with a powerful call to action. That is, how can corporations embrace inclusive strategic practices to create meaningful and lasting change?
I think the reminder is that accessibility, whether it's dexterity or mobility, it will face all of us as we continue to grow. And so by investing in ways to be able to provide opportunities for people with any type of accessibility challenge to engage in our world, engage with our businesses, it allows all of us to rise up with that. And that can be something that really gives us a lot of opportunity to then accelerate the work we're doing in our industries, and be able to make it more efficient for the future of how we're all going to be able to work together on these growing lists of projects that we want to see happen.
So for any student or companies or NGOs or else who, or even other countries who would like to get in touch with you and partner with you or study with you or support your project, how can you be contacted?
We would love to be able to talk to anyone that's excited about these opportunities, and they can find out more information on our website, which is 3dhope.com.
Thank you so much, Albert. Till next time.
Thank you so
Ciao.
much, Daniela.
As I wrap up this episode, my heartfelt gratitude to today's guest and to all of you. Join me for the next episode as we delve deeper with special guests, uncovering thought-provoking insights and actionable steps, paving the way for a brighter, inclusive, sustainable tomorrow. Thanks also to Damian Morton, music, and Maria Cortez Gagliano, social media. Don't miss out next episode on shaping the future we aspire to. Ciao, ciao!